All right, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us. My name's Zach Peterson, but today we're going to speak with Ian Aberle about the basics of Appspace 6, the digital signage software that we're using here on campus. But before we get started, I just want to get some administrative stuff out of the way. If you do have any questions, there should be a Q&A button on your video conference software, and it will allow you to send me a question. I'll be watching that. And if it's a question we can answer during the presentation, we'll be sure to do that near the end. So feel free to click on that button and do that. And there's also a chat feature as well. But for questions, I'd recommend you click on that Q&A button. So without further ado, I'm going to send it over to Ian Aberle.
Thank you, Zach. And thank you, everyone, for joining us today for our Lunch and Learn event. We're going to be talking about walking through and using Appspace 6 for our digital signage. This is the digital signage solution we have on campus. And we're going to walk through the basics of getting started, creating a new application, adding content, uploading content, dealing with video, and repeating content, and then talk about some of the new features in Appspace 6, such as cards and shared libraries. As we begin today, please feel free to ask any questions in the chat window, and Zach and I will be happy to cover them at the end. And one of those first questions most likely will be, are we recording today's event? And the answer is yes. So we'll be sharing with everybody that registered in the next day or two that webinar, that recording that they can then watch at that time. So let's begin. I'm going to go ahead and go to my web browser and go to smu.edu/appspace, and this will bring us to our Appspace digital signage landing page. From here, we can go ahead and log in, but we can also see other information about using Appspace, one of our older videos on using Appspace, and documents and training information is available here also, and some FAQs is also available, such as how to get your signs on other players, and we'll talk about some of those things through our session today. So I'm going to go ahead and just click the login button and log in. Now, unlike most of the systems on campus, we do have to use the SMU / before we start putting in our ID number, but once you do that, you should be able to log in just using your typical ID and your regular password. And there you go. Let's just say number save. And then I'm going to go to my demo area that I've set up. Now, if you have access to multiple areas within the Appspace system, which is one of the new features that we have available in Appspace 6. This is how you would do it. You would just come on over to the little icon of the person here, your user icon, and for your location, you would just change your location. And then choose the space that you want to work in. So now I'm in my demo space. And this will currently tell me what slides and widgets have been recently updated. Here's some of our signs. Here's recent uploads. The dashboard will also show you what your player health is. So this little dashboard area is very good for evaluating your network area. So if you're in Meadows, you will see the Meadows area. If you are in Cox School Business, you will see the Cox School Business area. It will show you all the players that you have available, the ones that need attention within your network, the ones that are registered, the ones that are online and offline. Since this is a demo space, all we have here is basically nothing. Nothing's tied to a actual live player. If I click on the little hamburger menu here, I can then navigate between the dashboard where I am now, signs, which is where I'll create the digital signage that appears on my player PC, channels, which allows you to, it's a new feature in Appspace 6 and heavily used in Appspace 7, which allows you to basically upload a variety of content, and it will just go play through everything on the channel at full screen. There's content. This is where we'll find our library. That's where we can upload any content, videos, still images, JPEGs, PNG images, even create new feature or new content called cards, which is a really nice feature in Appspace 6. And then I also have this little admin and system area, which you probably will not see in your login. So I'm going to go to signs to get started. And you'll see I have right now in my demo area 2 signs. And what you also notice too is I have this like really annoying renewal button here up the top. I'm going to go ahead and close that out, but I'll let you know that we are actually renewing this. We're in the contract negotiations now to renew that. But we will continue to have digital signage beyond the end of the month. So, all right, so this looks much better. So what I have here is 2 different types of signs. One is a basic sign and one's an advanced sign. Most of the users on campus are currently using advanced signs, but if you are just wanting to throw up basically a bunch of JPEG images, kind of a glorified PowerPoint presentation type system, the basic sign will be very good for you to do that. Basically, it allows you just upload content and it plays it. So let's see how that works. I'm going to go ahead and click the new button here. I'm going to choose basic, give it a name. I can choose my orientation. Most of the digital signage we have mounted around campus is currently in landscape, but if you do have one in portrait, you can choose portrait there too. I'm going to click OK. All right, and then from here, I'm just going to add the plus to select content from my library to add media. So if I go to, let's click on these student ads here. I can just click that one, this one, and I click the little check boxes, sorry. Click the little check boxes and then click apply. Those will get added into the playlist. And I'm done. So it's very easy, but it will just play that content and then go from there. Now, one of the features for editing content and previewing content in Appspace requires Adobe Flash, as you can see from here. I get a little plugin warning. If I was in the visual editor, I'd also get that warning there too for that. I'm not going to enable this just yet because I do want to show you how to do that in the visual editor screen, because that's where we get a lot of our questions at the help desk about how to do that. So I'm going to hold off on showing you the preview of that, but it would basically just go ahead and play through these. I'm going to go back to my sign library. And now we're going to do something a little more complicated. Instead of just throwing up a bunch of images, we're going to go ahead and create a advanced sign. The advanced sign is going to allow us to add, again, still images, video files. We can actually break out our layout into multiple areas. So we can have a like weather widget that shows the current weather, and then have a little area that shows slideshows or a video, or we can pull in a little text ticker. I mean, there's a lot of options we have, and we can break it up. So if I go ahead and click plus and choose advanced, and click OK. You have several options and templates here to choose from. There's a menu one, poster one. I'm just going to start off with a blank landscape and create my own. It has this nice little preview of what you see, which is just a blank screen. That's fine. I'm going to click use this template. All right. And now I have my sign created. If I click on the Edit tab, I'll be able to add content to my layout. Now, if we were going to continue with our PowerPoint analogy with the digital signage system, this would be a slide in PowerPoint. So just like a slide can have text and images and then things layered upon each other within that one slide, you can do the same thing with your layout. You can have your text, you can have your images, and different layers of stuff on top of each other. Then if I wanted to go to another slide, I would add a new layout. So if I click plus, just give it a name. Okay. There's a little pop-up window options. I'm going to say always allow my pop-ups from Appspace. And this launches into our visual editor. This allows you to edit the content that's on that layout. Now, what you'll notice is we have this very nice loading screen. I can just get mesmerized by that little spinning dial. But what's happened is if it takes this long to load, 99% of the time it's because the Flash plugin is not being enabled. And what you'll notice is in your browser up here in the corner, there's a manage plugins and use. Now each browser has a different way of notifying you about this, but for Firefox it's right here, and I can just click that and say, do you want to allow Flash to run on this site? I go say always allow. If I was not on my demo machine or computer here, I would choose remember this decision, and it will always allow the Flash to run. Go ahead and click allow. And then what you'll notice is all of a sudden I got that checkerboard pattern is loaded, the loading screen has gone away, and now I can actually edit the content on my layout. So let's go ahead and add some content to this layout. Now, if I'm already working with somebody who's uploaded content, I can just go and again, go to the area where I have my content. I can select those items that I want to add and click apply. And then if I hit save, what it'll do is it'll save it, and then it will actually start loading that preview, and you can get a nice little preview of how the slides will look on your screen. This is a very simple layout. Automatically fades between the different slides that I have. As simple as that. I'm going to go ahead and quit. I already clicked save. I'll click it just again, just to be sure, and I can close this window out. Now I'm going to go back to my first layout here and click the visual editor button. So when I created that new layout, it automatically launched that visual editor. Since I'm dealing with one that I've already have here, I'm going to have to click that to enable the visual editor. Again, get that loading screen, but you see it loads much faster than it did before. No spinning for 30 minutes waiting for something to happen. So I'm going to start off. I kind of like it's a beautiful day outside. If you've been out, depending on where you are, hopefully it's a beautiful day there too. But sometimes we get a little trapped in our offices and we have no idea what it is like outside at all. With the Appspace system, we can actually add a weather widget directly into this to play on our digital sign. To do that, I'm going to click Add Widget. And we have some standard widgets here. And you can see we have RSS view, text tickers, even some media zones, which is what we had basically was created when we added those slide images, Flash containers, but if you see under here, we have a whole section of weather widgets and different types of weather widgets. So if we want to see our current conditions, we can add that here. So I'm just going to go ahead and add that. And I like this one, the temperature icon horizontal. So I'll add that in. It's going to say, are you sure? I said, yes, I'm sure. And it brings it in. Now, for it to actually do its magic, you kind of have to tell it where you are located. So if you click in the properties, you'll see that we have our option of location. I'm just going to delete out New York, New York, and add a new location. I'm going to enter a zip code and click apply. It'll validate that zip code. You can see it's already brought in that it's windy and the current temperature is 19 degrees. But what you'll notice is we are on, for temp units, using Celsius. Most of us in the States prefer to use Fahrenheit, so I'll change it to that. You can also change the font that's being used. If you have a font that you're particularly a fan of, I do like the Century Gothic, so I'll choose that. And you can change the color if you want to. I'm just going to go ahead and click apply. And I'll save that change. There we go. Now, what you will notice is it's kind of hard to see on the screen. So let's go ahead and bring in a nice little background for this. I'm going to go ahead and click Add Media. And I'm just going to go here to this unassigned area, which is basically a dumping ground for images that are uploaded. If they're not put into a folder directly, they'll just be thrown into here. And somewhere here, yep, there's my clouds. I knew I had some somewhere. Go ahead, apply. And right now it's brought it in. It's a square image of clouds, but I can actually tell it to fill up the space by entering the dimensions of the sign. Now, most all of our signs are 1080p, which gives you a resolution of 920 pixels by 1080 pixels. And if I click on the properties, I can tell how I want it to scale. I want it to go ahead and fill that area. So I'm going to click apply. There we go. Now, you notice is when it now shows this, the only downside is I can't see my temperature anymore. Just like you would find in PowerPoint or in Photoshop, things on the top list there are going to be closer to you. So right now my slideshow with this cloud is over my temperature. So I can just click and drag this underneath it, and there's my new temperature. So, and I'm going to go ahead and give this a name so I can keep track of things. So I can rename this to clouds. Click save. So unlike the basic layout or the basic sign, we couldn't add this weather widget. We're only able to add those single use images one after another, and it just plays through the list and then starts over again. With this layout, with the advanced sign, you're able to build up your layout and have different items. So we've added a weather widget. Now we can add some more content. So let me go ahead and click Add Media. And using those same images that we saw before, click Apply. I can bring those in. But in this time, instead of having it fill the whole screen, I'm going to go ahead and put in a smaller size. So I'm going to put in 1280 by 720, which is basically that same 16 by 9 resolution. And I'm going to just move this over to the side here. And there we go. And once I hit save, you can see now I have the weather widget with those changing out images. So I can actually use multiple areas on the screen to show different content. All right, so now we've created a sign, we've added some content. How do we get content up into our library? So let's go ahead and take a look at that. I'm going to go ahead and close this layout. And I'm going to go over to my content area and go to my library. Now, there's two ways to do this. One, we can be organized about it, like I am here, where I have several different folders with content in it. Or we can upload it into those nice folders and keep things nicely organized. Or we can upload them at the time we're creating our content in our layout. What happens with that is, since they don't have a folder to go into, they all get dumped into this unassigned folder, which currently has something like 6,000 pieces of media in it. So quite a bit. The other area we have here is this common library, and this is new with Appspace 6. This actually allows you to share your content with other areas or other networks within your digital signage solution. So if I am creating an ad or something for, say, the SMU Staff Association, I can put it in here, and anybody within Appspace can get to this folder. And the nice thing is you can easily say, hey, can you add this image to your playlist? And just tell them where it is, and they can come over here and click on it and add it into their selection of stuff. There's a whole section of logos and creative assets. These are just some little opaque squares that I've added in. There's some RSS cards, so if you want to pull in the news feed from, say, the SMU, you can do that, or some news feeds from local areas, the BBC, World News, CNN, WFAA. So they're all there. And there's even some more shared assets too. If you wanted to share one of your folders, you can actually do that, and that would show up here. So lots of options there, but this new common library is exactly that. It's a common library shared with all your Appspace users. So if I wanted to add some content, if I come over to my demo section here and click plus, I can say upload media. I can drag and drop my files, or I can select them. I'm going to go ahead and select them from my downloads folder here. And I have a couple of things here that I want to bring in. And so I'm just going to select those. And oh, and even a video. I'm going to bring in this video too. So I'm going to go ahead and click open. It'll start to upload those files. Go ahead and hit save. And these will be some of the files we're using today. Very quick, very easy. All right, so let's go back to our sign. No, let's not do that. While we're here, let's create some other content too. So I mentioned the common library is one of the new features of Appspace 6. One of the really nice features I'm really excited about for Appspace 6 is cards. And cards allow you to create content directly within Appspace. So you don't have to use Photoshop or PowerPoint. You can actually come directly into Appspace and create dynamic content right there. So I'm going to go ahead and click this little plus here. And you saw I have upload media, but I also have create card. And then, of course, the other two. So we'll get to that one in a second, but let's, or a few minutes. Let's start with create card. So we have several options here. We have announcements, which is really a very good general purpose card that allows you to add information, an image. Great for announcements. We're going to use that today. We have data table. So if you want to show some dynamic content from Excel spreadsheet or something like that, or have it create a donut chart, you can have it do it directly in here. There's a Facebook card, which currently does not work with Facebook since the since Facebook basically turned off all of its sharing after its privacy issues earlier this year. Hopefully that will get working soon. It would be nice to be able to pull that content in. There's even a Google Slides, so if you have content there, again, back to the Excel stuff, there's a line chart. We have an RSS, which will pull in content from, say, if you're using the blog system on campus, you can pull that in. If you're using want to pull in some news from Bloomberg or something like that from their RSS feed, you can actually pull that content in and have that display on your digital sign. The social media by ScreenSpire, this one is actually a very nice aggregator of social media feeds. So you can actually have, you have to create an account to get it to work, but with on ScreenSpire. And once you do, though, you can actually pull in content from your Facebook page, your Twitter feed, and even your Instagram account, and have those all come in and display very nicely within your digital sign. We can actually do a live web view too, which will show web content directly in that. And even if you want to pull in some YouTube videos, you can pull those in too. With the way we have our digital signs set up though, we do not have audio enabled on our digital signs. So any YouTube video you bring in, hopefully is closed captioned and people can read that. So let's go ahead and start off with I'm going to start off with the RSS feed one here to get started. As you can see, it has a little default thing to show you how it would look. This is where it would show the feed images in that little box, and then here's our text. And then you can choose the style, whether a list view or a carousel view. I do like the carousel one much better than the list view. Now, what I'm going to do is I have an RSS feed here that I can use to pull my content in. Once I click validate, it will go ahead and check the feed and then pull in that content. So right now, there it is. Now, I can even customize the interval. So if I wanted to go very slow, give more people time to read the content on that, I can change that here. If I have a logo that I would like to use, I can upload that here or browse the library for a logo. And I think, let's see, let's go ahead. I think there was one in the common library here. Let's pull in the SMU one, apply that. And you see, pulls that logo, puts it in, drops it right there down at the bottom. I can even change the size of my text and the font. So you can see we have several options here. So if you find a font that you prefer, you can actually choose that there. And you can even change the text color. And the background, we can change the background right here. What's kind of interesting about this, it adds 2 Xrefs to get started. But if you type in a number there, and that's not the right number I wanted. 544. That's the right one. There we go. More SMU blue color. Pull that right in. Now, the only downside is if your logo is blue, it will disappear there. So you might want to be careful with that. But you can see that we can change the colors and stuff and add that. If you decide you don't want the logo, you can just hit the little delete. That goes away. Simple as that. I can click next, give it a title. This is the RSS feed from our IT Connect blog. I can add any kind of captions or description about the content, which is kind of nice. So if somebody else is managing your digital sign, they can also see what these are. Go ahead and click save. And I'll save the content there. And now it shows up in my library, and I can get to that at any time and bring that into any layout. So let's go ahead while we're here. Let's create a couple more and have some more content to play with when we're dealing with our digital sign. So I'm going to create a new card, and let's pull in a live web view. So if you want to have content from your website show up, and you don't want to have to recreate it, you can actually pull that in. I happen to have a URL here for one of our calendars on campus. I just paste that in, choose how I want it to do it. Native web view is probably just fine. There we go. Give it a name, hit save. There we go. And then when we go, it should, when we add it to our calendar, let's see if it's loaded the preview yet. If I double click it, I can edit it. Is it loading? Well, that's disappointing. I like that calendar. I tried it earlier. All right, let's see. There we go, that one's working now. We click on edit. You can see it's starting to pull in some content. It's not previewing here, but it is in the summary there. It's starting to pull some stuff in from the calendar. So let me go ahead and paste back in that URL. It takes a little while to pull in the live web content, so it's not like instantly live. And one, let's go ahead and create. Let's see. Let's go ahead and create a. Two announcements while we're here. All right, so you can see it's already have space laid out for a headline, a summary, a logo if you have one there, and a still image. So let's try, we're going to try, sorry about that. We are going to create two different types of cards using this one. The first one I'd like to show you is how you can use one for an event that you're having on campus. And then the second one will be used to show how to create one for a menu board item. So if you're dealing with dining services or something like that, you need to create some menu board options, you can do that too. So I'm gonna put in, create one for a holiday party. And as you can see, we can just type directly in here. You can put in whatever information you want. You can actually customize it. So if you want to make it bold, you can do it bold. If you want to make the font a different font, you can choose that there. The font size, you can actually enlarge that too. Do the same thing for the headline, since the headline should actually be a little bit larger than the, there we go. You can customize the background. So if I have a background, I can add that here. I've already uploaded the background I'd like to use into my demo folder when I was uploading content, and it should be there, but I'm not seeing it. So what I want to do is cancel that and click the drag and drop, use the drag and drop feature. I have my video here. I'll drop it on there. It's going to upload. There we go. So I have this nice video background here. Only downside of that Anybody can read that? I can't. So, so I do want to go ahead and change. I can change the color of the fonts and stuff all in here under the there we go, font color. I can choose there we go. That works much better. Same thing for this one here. I can, if I can find the font color, background font color, there we go. Choose that here. There we go. Oh, didn't stick. Let's try that again. There we go. And then I can even add a logo or an image. I saw the image did actually make it up into my demo folder here. There we go. Click apply, and there's my little logo there. So a nice little announcement card all built in here. You can actually change how, in this case, it's going to fill that space. This one is just going to keep it pretty much the same size as it was originally. You can choose 2 different layouts here. I find the layout one works just fine. And then you can actually change whether you wanted to, you can even flip it. And then just hit next. Give it a name. And save. All right, so that was that one. Now let's create one for a menu board. And I'm going to click the plus again, create card, and again, choose announcement. Now, the Appspace is starting to work on a new announcement card, which actually has even some more features. It's going to be called Announcement 2.0. I just saw the announcement about this just yesterday, which will actually have some more customization there. And looks like they really rethought the whole announcement card. It's going to be a really nice feature. That won't be enabled for some time, though, unfortunately for us, but something to look forward to. Now, I have here in my little text document, I have information for the menu. I'm just going to copy and paste that into these spots here, just to save us all some time. Paste that there. And I can even tell it that I wanted as a bulleted list. Of course, my line return's going to come over, but works out pretty well since I'm going to have to create this list here. So we have bacon wrapped shrimp with wild rice, grilled veggies, and a fresh multigrain roll. It's always nicer than those stale multigrain rolls. And so I have our content here. Now, I have several options here for fonts, but what if I don't like one of these fonts? What if I want something different? Yeah, hey, Arrow Black's great, but you know, I want something a little more readable. Oh, Impact, no, it's not working either. So what's really great about this is it allows you to upload a custom font. So I can click upload. And I happen to download Roboto from the Google Fonts library. And so I can actually select the font that I want here. So I'm going to go ahead and select actually the bold here, black, and regular. Click open. It'll bring those in. And then what you'll notice is right away, I should be able to select those fonts. There we go. So I can choose Roboto Black. I can then change the font size. I want that to be a little bit larger. There we go. Same thing, I would like to keep the fonts consistent throughout here. So I'm going to select those. I'm just going to go with the regular, but also again, 150% for those. There we go. Oh, and probably be good to have an image. You know, we all want to know how that shrimp looks. So I'm going to go ahead and click on my demo folder here. There's the shrimp image I had from earlier. Click apply. There we go. Looks quite delicious. I'm hoping you all are enjoying your lunch during this Lunch and Learn event. I'll have to wait, but bacon wrapped shrimp sounds like the plan. Again, this is a way you can see the difference between the layouts there. So if you were going to have a big title that went all the way across, that would be the layout 2. If you wanted the layout to stop right here, that would be right there. And then we can choose uniform. So that's the way the image was actually shot, but the fill will fill up that entire space. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and save this one as shrimp and save. So very easy and quick to create a menu item. Customize the font with that. With our other announcement card, we are able to bring in, as you saw, a video and have it play through in the background as a background for that slide too. So really some really nice features available with those cards. So I highly recommend you take a look at that and see what they can do for you. All right. So let's put those into practice though. So let's go back to our signs. I have our advanced demo here. I'm going to click on edit. And let's go ahead and see how these look. So I have this layout here. So let me go ahead and I'm just going to edit this, this one here. This was the one we did earlier with the weather, and we had our menu card here. But you can see I can actually replace the content here in my slideshow with one of those cards. So if I click on the properties for that, then click on my content, this will show all the things that are playing in this layout. What you'll also notice too is some of these are set to expire on certain dates. What's nice about that is the Hispanic Heritage Month ends at the end of the month, and so that we don't have to go ahead and remember on November 1st to take that out. That's actually done here, and you can do that by editing the playout. Under summary, you can say when it expires and then hit save, and that will cause it to expire on that date. Very nice and very easy. This is a great feature if you have a guest event or something like that. You put that title slide up on your digital signs. Welcome, President Turner. You have it up while he's here so that it goes off the next day after your event. You can go ahead and put that schedule in the playout and it will automatically remove that. All right, so let's go ahead though. I want to add my menu item to here. I can just click on Add Media. Select my content in my demo area here. There's my today's special. Go ahead and hit apply. And you know what, while we're here, let's go ahead. Why not add the party sign too? Everybody's ready for a party. So I'm going to click on the demo there. There's my party one. Click those two. Great. And so what you'll see is by default, they'll play for 12 seconds and then go to the next one. If you'd like them to play a little bit longer or a little bit shorter, again, you can just click that little play out there. And then we can go to, that's the actual slide, notifications, it's on the first one there. And if you want to change the duration from 12 seconds to say 15 seconds, you can change that right there. Hit save. All right, so now once I click appearance, I can click apply. That will automatically make those, save those changes that I've made. Close that window out. I hit save here. Once that layout is saved, it will update your digital signage in about 30 to 60 seconds. It'll download that content and start to play. So you can see I have this content showing. And then once it's done with the party, there's my menu item for today's special. It'll show that and then go back into our rotation of slides. If I decide, you know what, I kind of want to have this up a little bit longer, a little more full screen, I can go back to my properties, go to my content, and I can actually remove those or replace those. So if I just hit remove and OK, remove and OK, go back, hit apply, and then save, it'll make those changes. So let's go ahead and close that out and go back to our layout and let's add a menu one. And again, I can just click add media, go to my card, hit apply. Now it's going to show up right here in this corner. I can either drag this out to fill the screen, or if I know the right dimensions, I would just tend to type those in myself. So I'll have it 00 and then 1920 by 1080. Hit save. There we go. Now I'll take up the full screen. Go ahead and close that. Oh, and how about that RSS feed we had earlier? Well, that one's nice. Let's go ahead and pull that one in too. Give this one a name. Click OK. Again, add the media. Choose under my demo the RSS. And again, I can give it a name. Put in the location. And 80. There we go. Hit save. And you'll see that it'll start loading in the content. It will even show it here in our preview, which is kind of nice. So you can kind of see things are working or not working right away. I really like this card feature for the RSS. It's really nicely done. There is, if you saw when we added widgets, there was an option here for RSS ticker or an RSS viewer. You can do it that way too. It's not as pretty. The new one is much more, well, honestly, readable, which is good. And then has the nice transition and stuff in it too. So it's a nicely done card. Of course, all the cards do require that you are using the universal Windows Player version of Appspace. Most of our signs up until September were using the DirectX version of Appspace, and that was incompatible with the card feature. So we went ahead and upgraded our Appspace players to Windows 10, which was required for the app. And then we've been slowly rolling out the Windows Universal Windows Player, or UWP version of Appspace to systems one at a time. It's a manual process, so we have to load it and then relink it to your Appspace account. So there is a little bit of delay there. But once those are done, then you can easily use the cards feature. If you use the cards feature and notice it is not displaying the content, that means you are on the older version, and we just need to upgrade you. So if you'd like to take advantage of that, just like pretty much anything else, just contact the IT help desk at 214-768-HELP or help@smu.edu, and they can go ahead and put in that request to get you on the Universal Windows Player version of Appspace. All right, let's go ahead and save that. Now, if I go back to my sign library here, you'll see that, okay, I have my advanced demo. That's actually where I meant to be on my overview, not in my sign library. But so right here, we were at edit. I just really need to click overview. And in overview, you'll see that there is an option here to show you whether your syncing is on, which is great. It's syncing to nothing right now. But you also see that there is a public access for your signs. If you go to settings, by clicking that, you can say, oh, enable public access. You can actually have the Appspace sign as a URL. So you can actually preview it in a web browser and review the content on your digital sign. But the option is too, in theory, you can actually have this deployed to your phone or something to review too. So right now it's updating, but if I go ahead and select all that content and copy it and go to my other web browser here, open up a tab and paste that in. So it's initializing that version, and then once it's done initializing, it will actually show the content from your Appspace player in the web browser. So you can actually, if you had just a computer at the entryway and you wanted to turn it into a digital sign for the afternoon, you can actually just do this and put your web browser in full screen mode and it would play your content. Not recommended for long-term use, but just kind of a good way to get things going. I'm still updating. Let's paste that back in, see if there's, no, still initializing, so we'll just leave that alone. All right. So earlier I said that we can have users that are allowed to access multiple areas within the Appspace network. So as you can see here, when I click on this and click change, you'll see that I have access to, well, I have access to most everything on Appspace. But as a user, if you are in, say, student affairs, and you've been dealing with all your content here in student affairs, but you also need to be able to manage the content that is showing up in the residential commons, you'll see that that is a separate network altogether. So we can actually now add users. You can't request the access yourself, but a supervisor can request that you have access to another area. So now, and of course, that supervisor will have to be somebody within the residential comment. So you can't just say, oh, you know what, Zach's in OIT, but I'd also like him to upgrade our signs over in Meadows. And I work with Zach, so I can make that request. Problem is, I don't manage the Meadows sign. So somebody from Meadows would have to request that Zach have that access. But now we can give him that access. And this is how he would switch between those. So if Zach was in here and he's normally in OIT, he would just click on the area of Meadows that he needs to have access to. He hits save, and then he would see the digital signs that he can then go in and access and edit, just like what he has done before. Now, the trick is that those library files, this is where what we were talking about earlier, where those shared common library files come in really handy, in that you can have some of those files in there and people can get to them from the multiple networks. All right. About that, digital signs. All right, so we talked earlier, we had, let me go back to my demo area so we can talk more about that. So we uploaded a video earlier for the background for one of our slides. And for that one, it just looping fine in the background there is going to be just fine. That actually video was designed to loop forever. Most of the videos we watch are not designed to loop forever. It's going to have a start and an end, and we want to be able to look at that content and enjoy it in its entirety without it cutting off in the middle or starting at the end. So let's go ahead. I'm going to add a new layout here for my video. And the media, that's what I'm thinking of. Sorry, glitched there for a second. All right, so I have some videos here. I think there hopefully is some videos here. Yes, great. So I have this video. I'm going to go ahead and click apply. I'm going to again go ahead and make it full screen, 1920 by 1080, and hit save. And so you can see the video start to load. All right. So I have this video. It's, I think, 21 seconds long, which is shorter than the default playout duration here. Now, let me go ahead and close this. So what will happen, it'll play this video. After 21 seconds, it will start the video up again and continue to play for 9 seconds. And then after that, it will go back to the first layout. Because that's what I've said. My playout duration's 30 seconds. It's going to stay on that for 30 seconds. When it comes back, it goes through all the other layouts. And when it comes back to this video, it's going to start at 10 seconds and continue to play for 21 seconds, the rest of the, I guess the remaining 11 seconds, and then start over again. Not the best way to try to get your message across. What you'll see here also is there's a playout duration, and I can change it. I can type in, oh, I want it 21 seconds. Now, I said it was 21 seconds. It's actually 21.9 seconds. What happens, that little piece, that little sliver will get added up over and over as it loops across. And so, again, you will end up with your video shifting over time, slowly but surely. So there's a great way to actually get it not to do that. So I'm going to leave this at 30 seconds, but I'm going to go back to my video here. And what I want to do is click on properties. There's my video playing. And what I want to do is go to actions. I'm going to add a new action. And I'm going to say, when media complete, tell the application to go, I can hear the video playing in mine. I can go to next layout. And so once it's done playing that video, it will automatically jump to the next one. I'm going to go ahead and click apply there, click save. Could you hear that? Yeah. So it's a nice little video, very short, very sweet. But now what will happen is it will play that video during the length. Excuse me. It'll play that video during its entirety. And then when it's done, instead of going back and starting again, it will go ahead and play the next slide in your layout. Great way to kind of keep that video for shuffling. Again, now you might have heard the audio play through here, and while that audio plays fine here in this environment that we have going on between the three of us here, you, me, and the world, if we're, again, hosting one of these digital signs, having that audio repeat over and over and over in the hallway can get very upsetting. And so that's why we've disabled the audio on all of our players. But if you were to using the web version that we're just kind of showing that load, what would happen is it would play that video and audio over in that web preview. All right, I'm going to save that, close that up. All right, so we got video content added. We created some cards using the RSS feed, used the announcement, create both a menu and an announcement. We've done layouts with widgets. Let's go back to that one while we're talking about it. This one's just kind of fun because we have all kinds of stuff here. We have our clouds, we have our weather. Again, we can add multiple widgets. If you wanted to add the time here too, you can add a clock. Just add that in, sure, why not? There's the time. We can just go crazy and add every single widget that we want. Click on all widgets and you see all the variety of stuff that we have. If you wanted to add a text ticker, you can actually add a little text ticker. So you can have kind of that little Bloomberg CNN ticker at the bottom. The default is the text ticker uses just static text, but there is an RSS one too. So that if you did want to have a more Bloomberg-like one, or actually one that pulls from one of their RSS feeds, you can actually have that be a ticker across the bottom of your screen too. So there's a lot of varieties of different widgets and stuff here. And you can edit all their content and stuff from clicking the properties. So if I wanted to add that text ticker one, there we go. It's right there across the bottom. If I click properties, you can see the settings that we have available. And then the content, click add text. There we go. Now I can add whatever text I want there. Hit save. You can actually add multiple too, so you can have one go after the other. So if you want to have a bunch of messages, you can do that. And then if I click apply, there it is. And there it is across the bottom of the screen. So would not recommend it with the way I have this laid out. I'd probably just need to want to move this up a little bit so that they're not on top of each other, or I can actually just move this to the center too if I wanted to, with the way I have it. So lots of options there, lots of great things to play with and to get excited about. As I mentioned earlier, we are going to excuse me, we are going to be we're renewing our contract with Appspace, so we'll be continuing to use this further, and then we will, as that happens, we'll let you know. All right, but I think we have plenty of time for questions. So why don't we go ahead and open up the floor to questions that people might have about using Appspace, or if there's something that you're interested in that I did not cover, I'd be happy to try to answer that too. So Zach, what do we have on the, who do we have on the line?
Yes, well, we have one question here. So if you do have a slide that you want to share, and you want to let every Appspace user know that, what's a good way? Is there any kind of mailing list or address that you can send to let people know that?
Oh, good.
Sorry.
Sorry to hear you on mine. Yes, so there's a list of people on our Appspace page. You click on the FAQ. Here are some of the sites and areas that have agreed to let us put content on. So you can contact those people directly. And then if you wanted a full list, there's a link there for all those people. But we do have a, if you hit these people, those are going to get the most coverage. Covers the residential commons, the library, and public affairs, signs for over in Houston. Let's see, the ones over in Houston Student Center. So you're going to get some really good coverage by hitting just these 5 or 6.
Okay, excellent. And thank you very much for that question. I don't have any more questions now at the moment. So I'm going to say that this is last call. But while we do that, I just want to let you know that if you do have any other questions about anything else in the Appspace system and you need it, or if you need any assistance, of course, feel free to let the help desk know at help@smu.edu or call them at 214-768-4357. Now, I do have one other question. Looks like, Ian, you've already taken a look at it. So
Yeah.
what is the answer?
Yeah, so the question again was about the expiration date. So yes, the expiration date is set to, our contract for this expires on the 21st. We've been talking with Appspace. Unfortunately, there was some vacation taken on other ends and miscommunications about some stuff. So, but we got that all cleared out. We've sent them a notice that we've agreed to intent to continue using Appspace, and so the paperwork is getting worked on today, and so hopefully that message will go away very soon as we extend this out. But there should be some new things in the works for Appspace 6, so very good. Oh, I'm sorry. So on a sign level, how do I make a sign go away after a certain date? Yes. So yeah, so I talked about that a little bit here with the content. So if you can, there's a couple ways to deal with scheduling in Appspace. So if this layout here currently has its content done on a content basis. So if you have a set of slides and you would like some of those to expire, but you'd like other ones to continue, you can do that by clicking on the Playout and then go to the summary here, and you can set when it expires. And what will happen is when I change that here, that will automatically go away after that date. Now, if it's the only thing in that layout will still continue to play. And then what will happen is you'll have for 30 seconds a blank screen. So that's why I tried. Sorry about that. So a little froggy today. So I try to have, if I'm using that method, I try to make sure that there's always something on there in that layout. One of the great things is the flu or the wash your hand sign, or if you see something, say something, notices, those all work very well. You want those on your sign all the time, and those make a great placeholder for that. The other one is there's the scheduling mode, and that will allow you to do a whole layout scheduling for your layout. And this is available both on a, again, a slide level here, or in, oop, I get rid of everything. There it is, sorry. You can also do it here in your, if you're doing, you can set up scheduling for layouts using this. So if I go to my, settings here and say enable layout scheduling, that will allow you to control when a entire layout appears or does not appear. So if I turn that on and click save and go back to my edit, you'll see I have a new option here for schedule, and I can click a new schedule and set the in-between play forever or in between these dates. And then you can actually layer the schedules on top of each other. So again, you're having an event, you would like one slide to show over your slides, one layout, nothing else play. You can actually use the scheduling mode to go ahead and set that so that on October 31st from 5:30 p.m. to 9 p.m., only that one layout shows. You can schedule that right in here. And there's more information to walk you through that because I can do it here, but I think that just following the instructions might work a little bit better. As doing that, but you basically set that as an exclusive schedule, basically ignore everything else during that time to play that. And I think that actually is on our FAQ, or it's in the documentation. One of the two. Let's see. I think it right there is on the documentation and training. Schedule layouts within your sign. Instructions are right there. So they just kind of walk you through it, probably a little bit better than I would do right here. So, but I find doing it on the actual slide content works very well for my particular needs, but I understand there's other people who have different ways of wanting to work with this. So there's the two there, how to schedule the content within your slide, which is what I showed you, and then how to schedule layouts, which is what I just talked about just a second ago.
All right, fantastic. Well, I don't see any more questions. So if you do have any questions that pop into your head after this, feel free to let the help desk know, and we'll be more than happy to get those figured out for you. So that wraps it up for this webinar. Thanks again for joining us, and have a great one.
Thank you all.